Sonic the Hedgehog, everyone's favorite blue, speedy rat. um, a lot of people like Sonic, such as myself. However, I have been thinking a while. Does everyone truly know what Sonic the Hedgehog is? What if I were to tell you that Sonic the Hedgehog is the ultimate life form and not Shadow? Would you believe me? This is what this video is going to be going over today. Now, I have been thinking about Sonic possibly being the actual ultimate life form for a while now, because I was playing through Sonic Adventure 2 uh, a couple months ago, and when I got to the final boss fight, there's a bit of dialogue that Shadow says to Sonic, where it basically goes along the lines of, "I think you are the ultimate life form." Shadow says that directly to Sonic. And ever since then, that has been getting my theory senses tingling. So I decided to look into it more and do a bit more research and think about it. And this is the evidence that I found. Now, first we're gonna have to go over Shadow the Hedgehog himself. I mean, he does proclaim himself to be the ultimate life form, so maybe if we look into him, we can figure out some more information. Now, around 50 years before the events of Sonic Adventure 2, a man named Gerald Robotnik, who is Eggman's grandfather, tries to create the ultimate life form, and eventually he does with the help of Black Doom, an alien species known as the Black Arms, to create Shadow the Hedgehog. Now, Dr. Gerald Robotnik is a very smart man. He clearly knows his stuff. I mean, he even has a Master Emerald shrine in the space colony arc, so he clearly knows about the echidnas. Now, if we go with that interpretation and that logic, that he knows about the echidnas, then that must mean that he went to Angel Island at some point. I mean, if he's trying to make the ultimate life form, what better place to look than a giant floating island that has a bunch of gems that are, like, really powerful? It'd be the most logical place to look. And in Angel Island, there are very specific murals that can be found within it. One of them being the Perfect Chaos mural. So Dr. Gerald, probably seeing this, went, yeah, that's probably an ultimate life form. So then he starts trying to make the Bio Lizard, which would kind of make sense, you know. Perfect Chaos and the Bio Lizard are both these giant, just reptile beast things that have really long necks, you know, like similar body proportions, and both having an weak spot either on the top of their head or back of their or on their back that's red. Just a bit of an interesting detail. However, as Gerald is making this prototype ultimate life form, the Bio Lizard, he can come across a very specific mural in Hidden Palace Zone that depicts Sonic fighting Eggman. Dr. Gerald, probably seeing this mural of Sonic, goes, maybe that is the ultimate life form. And therefore he switches to Shadow. Also, another interesting bit, Shadow is the exact same height as Sonic, which might lead more into that. Also, in Angel Island, there's a zone called Hydrocity or / Hydro City. You could pronounce them whichever one you want. However, there are Sonic statues in the background, and this Sonic statue detail is even carried over to the Mania version of that zone, which means it was very intentional, which just leads to more credit to Dr. Gerald seeing Sonic, or depictions of Sonic, and thinking that he is the ultimate life form. Now, going off of Sonic Adventure 2 itself, in one of the first few cutscenes of the hero story, Shadow confronts Sonic after beating the gun military mech, where he says, "I am Shadow, I am the world's ultimate life form and then performs chaos control to style on Sonic, right? And near the end of the game, or at least the hero story mode, is that Sonic is about to die, but he has a fake Chaos Emerald. And just seeing perform Chaos Control once is able to perform Chaos Control himself using a fake Emerald, which is very interesting. Sonic seems to be able to use Chaos Energy way better than Shadow can, and Shadow's the ultimate life form. Meanwhile, Sonic is doing, honestly, way more impressive stuff in that. And, I already said this at the beginning, but Shadow does in fact call Sonic the ultimate life form, or at least he believes that Sonic is the ultimate life form. Now, I have heard a lot of people combat this by just saying, oh, well, that's just Shadow, complimenting Sonic's abilities or whatever, getting his respect, and just saying that he's like a cool guy, and it's not to be taken literally. However, I do believe that this should be taken more literally, and I'm going to get into why. Let's just, for like an example, like, the Dragon Ball Z comparison. Would it really make sense if Vegeta called Goku the Prince of all Saiyans? It really wouldn't. If he was just meaning that Goku was a cool guy. So, it doesn't really make sense that Shadow, someone who prides himself as being the world's ultimate life form, that's what he says when he first meets Sonic, calls Sonic the ultimate life form later on, just to say that he's a cool guy, or whatever. Which, honestly, Shadow might act... So, I do personally believe that Shadow just does think that Sonic is the ultimate life form here. Which, I mean, does make sense. Sonic did perform Chaos Control with a fake Emerald after seeing it once. Even Shadow would recognize such a feat, even if he believes that Sonic is a fake hedgehog or not. That's also another point, is that it doesn't really make sense, or going off of like the outside, Sonic and Shadow during Sonic Adventure 2 call each other fake hedgehogs or fakers, which doesn't really make any sense. Maybe Sonic's just saying that because, it's like, Shadow just kind of looks like Sonic. However, Shadow calling Sonic a faker might literally mean that he's calling Sonic a fake ultimate life form until he later on realizes that Sonic is more than likely the real deal. Which is just a very, very interesting thing to think about as per the story of Sonic Adventure 2. Now, the next point I want to get into are the Chow. Everyone loves the Chow. They're cute, they're cool, and the Chow and Chaos are actually very linked. Chaos is a mutated Chow, and Chow can evolve to look like Shadow, which I guess just further strengthens the link between perfect Chaos, or just Chaos, and Shadow, and also with the Chow. Which, that all makes sense, But then it gets very interesting when you realize that Chow can evolve to look just like Sonic himself. And before people say, what about the Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Chow? Are they ultimate life forms because some Chow look like them? Well, no. I personally do believe that the 3 special Chow are non-canon, because you cannot get them in the game, like in the base game. You have to get the Tails, Knuckles, and Amy Chow through special means. You can't breed a Chow to look like Tails, Knuckles, or Amy, unlike how you can with the Sonic and Shadow Chow. So that's why I disregard that as a defeater to that argument. Now, another point is that Sonic seems to be able to use Chaos Energy very well. He seems almost natural to it. However, he's also shown to naturally use all these other sources of energy, like the one from Dark Gaia, where he becomes Sonic the Werehog, whereas everyone else affected by Dark Gaia's energy sort of kind of lose their mind. Meanwhile, Sonic keeps his and achieves a new form through it. So it could be that he's just able to use Dark Guy's energy very well. Another source of energy he can use very well is the Hyper Go-On energy from the Wisps. He seems to basically be able to use them pretty much with, just like in the games, just with like a press of a button. He could just activate them whenever, basically, if he has the proper Wisps to use it. And going off of the storybook games, he's even able to use the power of some of the world rings to become Darkspine Sonic, and even becomes King Arthur in Sonic and the Black Knight, and becoming the strongest knight possible, which might just show off just how well he can pick up something and just use it like a master. Like, he could pick up a sword and become a master with it. So you give Sonic a gun, he might just be better with it than Shadow himself. And also in Sonic Frontiers, he's also shown taking the corruption cyberspace energy relatively well until near the end of the game. Whereas, every time he frees one of his friends, he gets more and more cyberspace corruption into him. But he's still able to run and fight in this kind of state. Now, and one more point that I do want to go over is that in the game Sonic Generations, there are character bios, and Shadow has a character bio. And in this bio, it just flat out states that Shadow is a spitting image of Sonic, and the term spitting image basically means to be a replica or a duplicate of. So the Sonic Generations, the 20th year anniversary game, is just outright calling Shadow a duplicate of Sonic. Which, if we are going off of Gerald seeing a bunch of Sonic murals or statues from Angel Island, makes a lot of sense. That is and yes, all right. That is about all the information that I have found regarding this theory. Do you all believe it after hearing all of the evidence, or do you not believe it? If so, why not? And what evidence do you have to not believe this? So, yeah, I hope this guy's got you all thinking about Sonic the Hedgehog lore, as stupid as that sounds. And, yeah,